God, this movie was fun. You know what's funny? Initially, I had no intention of watching this thing. Not because of the premise or anything, but because the first thing I heard about it was that Huntrix would have to deal with a demon boy band, and because at the time I was led to believe it was a show and not a film, I figured it would involve a prolonged forbidden love subplot between one of the girls that would be torturously drawn out and end in a snapshot redemption where his actual crimes would be completely forgotten because true love, and I've seen enough of that kind of garbage to last a lifetime. But when I found it was a movie and a couple of my friends basically held me down and screamed their love for it in my face, I went, okay, yeah, I'll see where you're going with this. And you know what? I'm really glad I did. Also, I know I'm really late to the party here, but I've been busy working on one project after another, and just haven't had the chance to sit down and work out my thoughts on the film. So I'm actually writing the script immediately after finishing my second watch of it, and I honestly loved it even more. This movie is an absolute delight. I know I'm far from the first person to say this, but I just cannot get enough of this mixed 2D 3D animation style. I know some people really don't like it, but I think it's refreshingly expressive, especially when it comes to works like this that allow the artist to just go all the fuck out in their restrictions. I mean, the expressions alone are almost impossible to match anywhere else, which is one of the reasons I love the Huntress girls so fucking much. Yeah, surprising absolutely nobody who knows me, I adore these three goobers. I think they're some of my favourite animated characters ever. As I mentioned last year in my Kaiju number 8 review, I fucking love when the character's friendship actually feels genuine and isn't just an informed trait, and I 1000% believe that these girls are the best of friends. Their interactions are so genuine and cute, and it's really great. Like, the way they match each other's energy and share in the antics and support each other reminds me so much of some of my best friends, and it makes me smile every time I think about it. It's also super refreshing to see female characters just allowed to, you know, be characters, with feelings and flaws and quirks and all that stuff that makes them feel like a real person. They're messy and conflicted and still themselves, it's great. Also, I've just gotta appreciate any character that shows the same level of enthusiasm for snack time that I do. That is a sacred ritual that must be respected. You could legitimately release a 3-hour video of them just being their weird selves together without any fights or songs, and I'd watch it in a heartbeat, which just goes to show how strong their characterization is. I'm also saying it here because I don't know where else to put it, but Bobby, best boy. Hands down I would kill for this man. May already have done. That isn't to say the action and singing isn't good, it's goddamn amazing. Some of the best I've seen all year. Syncing fight choreography to the music is the way to my heart, and with songs this good it would be a crime not to. Oh, and the physical and visual comedy in this movie is just fucking gold. Slapstick really does feel like a lost art sometimes. And yes, I've also had this music stuck in my fucking head, especially that earworm from hell soda pop, which leads us to the Soldier Boys, who are also here. Okay, facetiousness aside, I actually really like these guys, but that like stems entirely from a narrative/meta standpoint because there's basically nothing to them, which is by design, obviously. The thing about the Soldier Boys is that, outside of being the antagonistic force of the film, they serve two purposes, that being a critique of idol culture and a warning of the dangers of parasocial relationships. And wow, the creators had a lot of thoughts on these subjects. What's funny is that when I watched this the first time, I saw some people online lamenting how much more attention the Soldier Boys were getting than the Huntrix girls, and claiming it was due to misogyny. But I think that's only really a small part of it. The biggest part is that this is just how boy bands work. The thing about pop groups like the Soldier Boys, and honestly just idol culture in general, is that a large part of the appeal is how empty they are. Their members are largely required to fit into certain archetypes that appeal to the widest range of people, but they also can't be too specific or individualistic because it would ruin the illusion that they exist for you, which would turn some people right the fuck off because the fantasy that, on some level, idols exist specifically for each fan engaging with them is what draws a lot of people to them. Hell, that's why a lot of their music is so non-specific, so that anybody can feel it applies to them. I mean, it's usually meant to be targeted at one gender, but you get my point. This has a lot of overlap with general fandom culture as well, because there are a lot of people in fandoms that will grasp onto minor characters with a bone-crushing death grip over the main characters. Not because they're actually more interesting or better written or designed or anything like that, but because it's easier to project whatever you want onto them. Some people don't want a real character, they want an empty vessel to fill with the overflowing contents of their mind prison. This was something you could actually watch happening in in real time when the Owl House was coming out. A lot of fans latched onto Amity when she was first introduced because they could project whatever they wanted onto her, but the moment she became a more fleshed out character, they ditched her to fixate on Hunter. And so the Soldier Boys, who are a fictional idol group, exist in a perfect storm of projection potential because aside from Genu, they only contain wisps of personality attributed to their archetypes in the band. Contrast this to the Huntrix girls, who are overflowing with personality, and I'm not surprised so many people latched onto them. While some of it is definitely misogyny because there's always some of that in there, most of it isn't. If you ended up projecting an entire backstory onto the boys, it likely means that you're their target demographic and the formula is working. And that's what brings us to the parasocial relationships thing, because that's the entire point of the Your Idol sequence. Parasocial relationships aren't inherently negative, but they do tend to stem from a lack of connection elsewhere in your life. People who have fulfilling social lives or emotionally fulfilling relationships don't tend to generate parasocial obsessions, which are the real danger. We all develop some level of parasocial relationship, but it only becomes a problem when that consumes your life and overtakes the real relationships you have, which is the entire goal of the Soldier Boys, to make you feel like they're the only connection you have. That's why they have the whole join the pride thing, because they want to lure people in with the promise of belonging and being accepted. Parasocial obsessions might not literally drain your soul, but whether it's adoration or hatred, and I'm sure you can think of at least one person you know of for both of those, it ultimately leaves the person empty because of how much it consumes their time and attention. So yeah, the Soldier Boys were really well done, 10 out of 10. Now get the fuck out of my head. Also, I need to see a crossover between them and Tenten from NSR. That would be fucking amazing.
Baby, I'm electrifying. Electrifying!
Tell me it wouldn't be so fucking good. Finally, I want to talk about Rumi's markings and the queer readings of it people have been doing because, well, I honestly think it's pretty cool. The demons being linked to shame and guilt is a really nice touch and works really well for the story they're telling. And it also makes Rumi's markings prime real estate for a queer and often specifically trans reading. And before anyone blows up in the comments, no, I do not think it was intended to be an allegory for being trans, calm your ass down. This is just the power of applicability, because Rumi's entire thing is that her markings are a part of her that she's told are unnatural and should be hidden, and because of that she tailors all her clothes to cover them and refuses to go with Zoe and Mira to the bathhouse for fear that they'll see them and reject her for something that's a part of her that she can't control and some people would consider to be a marker for being dangerous. And gee, I wonder why so many trans people connected to her on such a fundamental level like this. It's a fucking mystery.
Why can't you look at me? Why couldn't you love me? I do. All of me!
Like I said, in no way do I believe this was intentional, but it does line up startlingly well with the trans experience, because this is how a lot of trans people are made to feel, especially in the current political climate, that we're wrong, shameful, monstrous, that we're dangerous, that we should be forced to hide who we really are. It's a really, really good and completely unintentional allegory that resonated with a lot of people, and I just think that's really neat. So yeah, this was a really good movie. I was really happy with it. I don't know if we'll be getting a actual franchise out of it, but I really hope they decide to do something more with it because I think there's a lot of potential for a show about how the three met and became friends, or what their life is like after the creation of the new Hanmoon. I don't know, I think it could work. Also, these are my favourite moments from each girl respectively.
Yeah, that's right.
You're just my type. Oh well.
Anyway, thank you for watching and I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.